Hello. Today we are going to talk about the FlipAlert profitable flip section for notifications. So in our last video, if you watched that first, we talked about how to set up your tasks in price drops. But today we're going to talk about what happens when those tasks start finding products, and we call them notifications. So as you may remember, on your task section, you have a variety of tasks that you've probably set up, either specific um, specific ones or very loose ones. And then once those tasks are set and active, as products come into FlipAlert, and we capture about 800,000 products a month, as they come into FlipAlert, we'll then filter them based on your tasks and show you the results that meet any of your task variables. Once those results come in, this is where you're going to see them. So we have a number of categories that you can choose from as far as columns go. Let's start kind of from top to bottom. So on the top here, we have obviously a search bar, which you may or may not decide to use, but you can kind of quickly see, depending on how specific you are, what products might have fun in. So we can like type in Nike, for example, and see that we have one Nike shoe that came in recently, etc. We also have our origin tasks. So this is what we consider our task names. So if you remember previously, every task that came in, we named it. We did that so that we could then filter by those tasks if we wanted to. We only see, this is really important, we only see origin tasks in this dropdown once those tasks have found at least one product. So if we create a task or create 5 tasks and one of those tasks finds a bunch of products, on notifications, we're only going to see that single task. So these are the 4 tasks so far that have found products for me, and I can filter by clicking on them to see the specific ones or not. So for example, if I click just clothing, I'm only going to see my clothing task. If I click none, I'm going to see everything. Similarly, we have our seller types, so we can quickly filter by who the seller is. So Amazon, again, Amazon is both the provider, so they're the shipper, but they're also the seller in record. So if we click this button, we're going to see only products that Amazon is selling themselves, FBA similarly, and of course FBM, which I have none because I have no FBM sellers under my tasks. We can also do quick ROI. So right here in the column, we have an ROI column. Some of my tasks are set up to get as low as 30% ROI. If I want to see products in the last, that are on this page that are at least 80% ROI, I can choose that. And here I filtered by high ROI, 80% or above of the specific notifications I have. Same thing for minimum seller count. Only Walmart matches is very interesting. So you can see here we have a Walmart column. When a product has a Walmart UPC match, we will pull that match in. And if you click only Walmart matches, we will only show you the products that have Walmart matches that are relatively recently in your notification screen. You can also export all of these. So you can export them to a CSV and choose to run them through a different application or send them to a VA. And then up here in the top right, we have our columns, and we can filter what columns are on and off. I will turn them all on for this particular video, so you can see all of the different options you have. But then once you're actually in here, you can decide what information you want to see at any given time. The way that the notification section works is, as mentioned, it pulls in items that meet your tasks, but it doesn't show you everything going back to, since you started. We're going to show you the latest 300 items. So if you have a lot of tasks and they're very loose, that might be the last 15 minutes. Or for me, where I have pretty specific tasks, going back 300 could get me to this afternoon, right? So it's 8:33 p.m. right now. On the bottom of page 1, it goes back about 2.5 hours. Once you go beyond 300, that's going to be a separate section called our product finder, and we'll get to that in a separate tutorial video. So as products come in, as you've already seen on this video, there is no refreshing that we need to do. We don't need to click refresh. We don't need to change the screen. This is live cloud-based, so we can just leave this up on our screen in a second monitor, wherever, and as products are found, they will instantaneously pop up here so we can view them. We have a number of different columns as we talked about. You can also rearrange your columns, so we'll get to that in a second. But on default, this is generally what you're going to see. Your actions all the way on the left, followed by time that they came in, product, ASIN, etc. What you want to do is kind of scroll through and learn what information that you might need to make fast decisions. Again, the goal of FlipAlert is 2 parts. This profitable flip section, these are generally pretty reactive flips. So these are products, again, that are price dropping right now today that we can then buy based on what we see in the data and make some money on the arbitrage on the difference. There's going to be a time and place where we want to go and buy some hold, some seasonal products, go back and do some ASIN tracker stuff. But oftentimes what we're using for profitable flips in the notification section is speed. And that's not to say that you have to be within seconds or A2A isn't going to work for you, but it just means that part of the value of FlipAlert is that we give you all the information you need very quickly. Whereas something like Keepa, you have to go through, click through, use other calculators, use other things, and it can take you 30, 60, 90 seconds to analyze a lead. And by then, you may have missed something if it was very, very good. We try to give you all the information up front and do a lot of that in the back end so you don't have to do as much on your end. So for instance, not only are we seeing the product, in this case, it's a Skechers shoe. We're also seeing, of course, the seller type, the buy cost. So this is the buy cost the second that we found it. So if you had clicked on it right when it came in, it would have been available at $23.67 from Amazon. The sell price is, again, the average new price over the last 30 days. So as we know with new pricing, what does that mean? That means that it's the lowest new price. Doesn't matter if it's Amazon, FBA, or FBM. We're taking the lowest new price and giving you that average. We just try to be the most conservative number that we can think of. Walmart, again, if there is a Walmart product match, we will show it here. Profit, so we're taking the sell, so again, 30-day new price, and we're taking this buy cost. We're doing all of the fees, assuming FBA, so all of this math is done with FBA in mind, and we're giving you the profit if you bought it at $23.67 and sold it at $47.76 on FBA. We're not accounting for your shipping costs, because that is variable to you. And of course, also your taxes. Now, you should be tax exempt if you're doing A2A. You can be tax exempt on a personal account or a business account. So I highly recommend that you take care of that. It takes about 10 minutes. Amazon is very, very easy in that regard, in which case taxes are not going to be applicable. It's just going to be, what is it going to cost you to ship it into Amazon if you do FBA? Or of course, if you do FBM, what is it going to ship to get to the customer? We will have a section in the settings page very soon where you can actually upload like specific things like a prep cost or a general shipping cost that would allow you to add that into your buy cost on our end. But for right now, it's just going to be your straight buy cost and your sell based on 30-day average. We also have, of course, the ROI that's applicable with these two numbers. The category, which is important if you're trying to avoid certain categories. The sales rank at the time that we found it for you. The seller count, the reviews. And then this is where we get really interesting, right? We have our average price. We talked about this in the task section. We give you the average 30-day new price. We also give you the average 90-day new price. And what's really helpful there is that we can then find products that are pretty flat on price. They're not volatile. They're not inflated right now. These are very consistent products price-wise. And we can see with the Skechers, over the last 90 days, it's very, very close. It's only, as you can see, a 6% difference between the 90-day average price and the 30-day average price. And I realize I'm really talking my hands. And what this shows us is consistency. So we can feel pretty confident that this $47 is not an anomaly. This is not a $20 shoe all the time. That's randomly $47 just this month. This is pretty consistently in the 40s, which should give us a little bit more confidence when we make that purchase. We'll also, of course, give you the variable. So we talked about in our task section how you can manipulate these numbers for specific tasks. This is that in real time. So we can see in this particular case, there's a $3 price difference and a 6% variable between the 90-day and the 30-day. Oh, we're losing too many new products coming in. So we have 6%. It's been a 6% increase between the 90-day price and the 30-day price. We also have our profitability. So again, over the last 30 days, which was what we use for here. So our sell price is going to match here. So our profitability is going to be $11 over 30 days, but our profitability over 90 days is $9. So still a very profitable product if we decide to do it. And again, if you remember from our task section, we can click that checkbox that says only profitable both 30 and 90. This is where we take that number from. So sometimes, and I don't know if we can find one, you can see if we can find something, and we might not be able to because these might be just like too consistent across the board, but there are times where it will be here, like this is a perfect example. This particular product is profitable over the 30 days, but not profitable over a 90-day. So that's telling us that this is a product that is dropping in price more consistently. It's probably a pretty flat, straight down, like a stairway down. And we want to look into this a little bit more before just making that buying decision to understand what has changed. Why is it so dramatically different between the 90 and the 30? So let's go back to our shoe for a second. Have I lost my shoe? I think we're right here. If we keep going over, we can also see the origin. So this is, again, the task that brought this product in. So for example, if I see a product on here that I don't want to see, I don't want to see Skechers, for example, I can say, oh, my task that I named only Amazon was the reason this product is showing me. Now I can go into that task, edit it, remove the brand, add keywords, etc. We have another actions column because we are kind of shifting a lot to the right. So we didn't want you to have to go all the way to the left to get to actions again. We have the brand. So this is the name of the brand. So again, Skechers. You can see all the different brands here. Subscribe and save. So if this product is subscribe and save eligible, we will tell you up front. You can see if we scroll down, are there any that I have that are subscribe and save eligible? I don't see any in my last 100. Oh, here's one. So this particular product, uh, fertilizer spikes for $83.97. And it looks like this is subscribe and save eligible. And so some people really like that because oftentimes with subscribe and save, you can actually double up on the amount of quantity that you can get, buying some outright and also buying some through subscribe and save. But you can also get 5% or 15% off if you take advantage of your subscribe and save. Whatever, kind of your max 5, you get 15% off if you have 5 subscribe and saves at a time. And even occasionally you have additional coupons for your first subscribe and save from an ASIN. So it's a nice way to like kind of double up on some additional profit. Let's go back to our Skechers. So we also have coupons. So we can see one here. So if a coupon is eligible, so if there's a coupon on the product page, we'll tell you that. Promotions, similarly, if that particular product is running a promotion in some way, we will tell you that here. And then heat sensitive, this just means, is it meltable? It'll check, will tell you, hey, yes, it's meltable. We're in July. This is not something that I want to source and be able to send FBA right now. And then business discount, we talked about this also in our tasks section. But if there is a discount, if you are on a business account, we will tell you what that discount is, and it'll just be a number. We can kind of scroll through here and see that there is no business discounts currently in our last 100 products, which is not too out of the ordinary. We have our return rate. So if Amazon is claiming that there's a particularly high return rate from a product, we will tell you that. All of these look to be very average. Sometimes we'll see a low as well. Here's one. So example, this is saying, hey, this product is returned a lot at a very high return rate. This is, of course, a matching pajama set. So it isn't super, super surprising. I don't see, oh, here's another high. I don't see any lows currently. So we have a few highs here. And then we also have our monthly sold. So if Amazon is reporting that X number are sold each month, we will tell you that. Here's an example of 200. So we can go over this first alert battery. They're saying, hey, 200 plus of these are sold every single month. And we will show you that right here. So you have the information. Again, this is something that you can manipulate in your tasks to only see products if you wanted that have 200 or more, or 25 or more, or any number that you want. And then, of course, hazardous. This just means it may have lithium batteries. It might be under dangerous goods. But is it hazardous? And we can see that this one here is hazardous, this Bluetooth meat thermometer. Now, it does not mean that you have to be eligible for hazmat or dangerous goods. It just means it is technically under the dangerous goods category, but you might know this, right? You can still generally FBA, like lithium batteries are part of this category and oftentimes still applicable and allow you to FBA even if you're not approved for dangerous goods. But we will show you all of those. And so this is an example of something, hey, this is an average return rate of 1,000 plus a month and part of the hazmat program. So that is all the different columns that you have to manipulate, to change around, to make your buying decision. What's really cool is up here, you see these dots. You can drag any of these columns around. So for instance, since you do have to scroll and you can't see everything unless you're on a super wide monitor, you might decide that you want to see maybe 3 or 4 specific columns that allow you to make really, really fast buying decisions. You want to see, all right, who is the seller? What is the buy cost? What is the sell cost? You want to see profit. And maybe you want to see this price variation because you want to know that it's a really stable product. So we can drag this over here. And the brand, or maybe you want to see if there's a business discount, right? Without having to move over. So we're going to throw this over here as well. So now we have what we need to make fast decisions, if that's what we need in our case. And as new products come in, they'll stay. This will save for you. So if you close a tab and reload it at any time, we will show you the exact columns in the exact order. You can also, as you saw earlier, add and remove columns. So maybe you don't want to see coupons or promotions. Maybe you don't want to see business discount at all. You can add and subtract any column at any time to make this exactly what you need it to be. On the left here under actions, so again, we have two action columns. There are a few things that you can do to make life a little bit easier. We are adding some additional actions very, very soon with some new partners. Right now we have a seller amp button. And what's really cool about all of our buttons is that we've pre-built all of that data into the link. So you don't have to then go and grab any new information. So if you click seller amp, for instance, all of that information, the ASIN, the buy cost, the sell cost will carry over, and it'll open seller amp and it'll show you all of that right there. So you don't have to like copy and paste. We also did that for the links themselves. So if you click on the product and open the Amazon page, all of that information from right here will be preloaded if you use seller amp or RevSeller. Everything is preloaded, and we have a couple more calculators that are coming as well. Keepa, of course, a quick, easy Keepa button to load Keepa with that ASIN. This plus button is going to add your product to the ASIN tracker, which you'll see in a separate video, probably the next video I make. And then you have this little bookmark, and we can look at bookmarks at the same time right now as notifications because it's not a particularly extensive module. But if you click and add something to our favorites, and then we go to our bookmark section, we can see all of our bookmarks that we've bookmarked in different times when they were bookmarked. And this just allows us to add things maybe we want our VA to review, maybe we want to go back and look at again, but we don't have to like write down the ASIN or remember it in some way. Soon we're going to have folders in here, and you can kind of move things around as needed, and of course add or remove bookmarks as you please. So that is the notification screen. The last thing, and you probably saw it happen as I was moving through, is if you want to see Keepa very quickly, you can just hover over any product. And in the bottom right, I will move, hopefully my face is not in the way. In the bottom right, you're going to see the Keepa chart load in. And that's what I use personally. It's very, very fast. So I don't generally click the Keepa unless I want to dig into a variation or some other information quickly. But I'm like, hey, this all looks good on paper. Let me hover and see what's going on. I can very quickly see what that product is over the last year, 3 months, or 1 month, and you can change the duration of your Keepa graph in your settings. And we'll have a separate video in what all the settings can do. So, this first alert, for example, we can see that in paper it looks really good. Buy for 47, sell for 85. But we can also see that it was very, very much in stock for the first 9 months from September through May at about $40, and only recently it's been on a stock for the last 2 months. So that's information that we might want to have to make that decision. We can go back to our Skechers here, and we talked about a very consistent chart. The Skechers has been really difficult to stay in stock since April. So we might feel comfortable buying this because we don't feel like we're going to have a lot of competition on this particular ASIN because Amazon is struggling. We have this new product that came in. If you like high price stuff, we have this range. I'm a big fan of some higher priced goods. It keeps a lot of folks away. And we can see right here, just kind of looking at this briefly, that this is actually pretty consistent. The buy box is almost always in about 1,200 or higher. Recently, it's a little bit more inflated at 15, but certainly 1,250 for most of the year. And right now it's at 865. So if we're set up to FBA, I'm sorry, probably FBM, something like this would be easier. We're set up to FBM this. We have pallets, we have a warehouse. This is something that could certainly set you apart if you're comfortable sourcing it. So we can kind of go through here and quickly do that, right? Here's a product that's normally between $25 and $30. We can see it's dropped to 10 and it's a straight line down. We'd love to see that. And we can scroll, and I said we show the latest 300. So you can go down here to the bottom right and click the next page, and we can see things that have happened a couple hours ago at this point. And it doesn't mean that they're necessarily out of stock just because they're a couple hours old. Oftentimes I source quite a few things that are hours and hours and sometimes days old. Here's a VTech telephone that is pretty routinely in the high teens. Amazon has a hard time staying in stock. When they're out of stock, we can see kind of that $20 range, $5 profit. NutriBullet, again, similar. Amazon is really struggling to keep in stock on this one, 90 into about 150 pretty routinely. And you may or may not decide to buy these, but it's very, very quick, as you can see, to make that buying decision. This is something that I just scroll through. Here's Sunday's afternoon, some kind of hand cover. Normally says at 31, been very consistently $31 for a year. Amazon's currently in stock at 16. So this is all I do, and then when I'm satisfied under notifications, I will jump back to my previous page. I'll go to page 1, and I will leave this up usually in the background or on a second monitor or something. I might even make the screen really tiny and just kind of review leads as they come in. and then jump into tasks if I need to make any quick edits. So that is kind of the walkthrough and tutorial of how the notification section in Profitable Flips works. Again, everything you see here, we're only going to show you profitable products in this category, and we're only going to show you products that meet your specific tasks. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, if you have questions on specifically this or anything else that we may have covered, you can open a support ticket in the Discord. You can also go into the general chat and tag me. And if you're not a FlipAlert member yet, but you have questions about anything you saw here or you want to get involved, Twitter is the best place to find me, and that is at Stall Sells Stuff on Twitter. And I try to check all those very, very frequently. So thank you for hanging out for another 20 minutes. I'm going to work on making these a bit shorter, but this is a good time, and I will see you soon at the next one.